Imagine a moment when you found yourself in front of the mirror, observing not just your reflected image, but the entire invisible web of thoughts, fears, and hopes that make up your reality. In this instant of deep contemplation, an ancestral truth begins to whisper in your heart. There is a greater force, a cosmic intelligence that permeates every atom of the universe, including every cell of your being. In our contemporary society, we have been conditioned to seek absolute control over our lives, to plan every detail with meticulous precision, as if the universe were a machine we could program according to our will. However, as contemporary mystic John Toll observes, this obsessive need for control is precisely what prevents us from flowing with the natural wisdom of life. The first step towards transformation is recognizing that there is a higher order, a perfect synchronicity that governs everything from the movement of planets to the blossoming of a flower. This same intelligence that keeps your heart beating without you having to think about it, that coordinates billions of processes in your body every second, is also orchestrating the events of your life in a cosmic dance of infinite possibilities. Dr. Michael Chopra, in his work The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, reminds us that the universe operates through minimum effort, without resistance. Observe nature. A seed doesn't struggle to transform into a tree. It simply follows the natural flow of its development, trusting in the intrinsic wisdom that guides it. Similarly, when we learn to trust the universe, our life begins to flow with a similar grace. Universal trust is not a blind or passive faith, but a state of expanded consciousness that allows us to recognize the divine patterns present in every experience. Here it's like learning a new language, the language of the cosmos. At first it may seem confusing and challenging, but gradually the symbols begin to make sense, and you realize that you've always been in communication with the universe, even without knowing it. To truly understand the power of universal trust, we first need to examine our relationship with uncertainty. Neuroscientist and consciousness researcher Dr. Jacob Silverstein proposed that our reality is a product of the interaction between our consciousness and a larger field of possibilities. When we open ourselves to trust, we expand our perception and allow new possibilities to manifest. Think of a moment in your life when something seemingly negative turned into the best thing that could have happened. Perhaps a dismissal that opened doors to your true vocation, an ended relationship that led you to a deeper love, or an illness that awakened you to a more conscious life. These are not random events, but demonstrations of universal wisdom operating in your life. Researcher and author Sarah Brown discovered in her studies that the most accomplished and happy people are not necessarily those who have the most control over their lives, but rather those who have developed the ability to trust and remain vulnerable in the face of uncertainty. This is a revolutionary discovery that invites us to rethink our relationship with control and surrender. At the end of this first chapter, I invite you to do a simple exercise. For a few minutes, observe your breathing. Notice how it happens naturally, without your conscious effort. This is the universe operating through you. The same intelligence that coordinates your breathing is coordinating every aspect of your existence. Allow yourself to feel this truth not just as an intellectual concept, but as a visceral experience. As we advance on this journey, you'll discover that trusting the universe is not just an act of faith, but a conscious decision to align yourself with the natural laws that govern all existence. It's an invitation to abandon the paradigm of control and embark on an adventure of co-creation with the cosmos. There is a silent music constantly playing in your life, a melody of seemingly casual events that, when observed carefully, reveal a pattern of perfect harmony. Carl Gustav Jung called these patterns synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem to convey a message from the universe. However, as we'll see, there are no coincidences when you understand the interconnected nature of reality. Quantum physicist Dr. Daniel Bohm proposed that the universe is an indivisible whole, an infinite web of connections where each part contains information about the whole. This revolutionary view of reality, known as the implicate order, suggests that the events we perceive as separate are actually manifestations of an underlying unity. Synchronicities are moments when this unity becomes visible in our everyday experience. Imagine a day when you wake up thinking about a friend you haven't seen in years, and hours later, you receive a message from them, or when a specific word or phrase starts appearing repeatedly in different contexts, as if the universe were trying to draw your attention to something important. These are not random events, but manifestations of what Dr. Michael Chopra calls non-local correlation, the universe's ability to organize events meaningfully beyond the limitations of space and time. Physician and researcher Dr. Gabrielle Matthews observed in her work that our physical body is in constant communication with the environment through an intricate network of biological systems. Similarly, our consciousness is in continuous dialogue with the universal field of intelligence. Synchronicities are like meeting points in this dialogue, moments when the wisdom of the universe manifests tangibly in our experience. To develop sensitivity to synchronicities, we need to cultivate what mystics call divided attention, the ability to maintain simultaneous awareness of the outer world and our inner world. It's like tuning a radio to a specific frequency. When we're on the right frequency, the messages from the universe become clearer and more meaningful. Author and teacher Michael Singer shares in his teachings that the universe is constantly trying to guide us towards our highest good. However, our fears, expectations, and prejudices can create interference in this communication. It's like trying to listen to soft music amidst traffic noise. We first need to quiet our mind to perceive the subtleties of the universal melody. Synchronicities often manifest through symbols and metaphors. A bird that lands on your window at the exact moment you contemplate an important decision, a book that falls from the shelf open exactly to the page that contains the answer you're looking for, a casual encounter that changes the course of your life. These are all examples of how the universe uses symbolic language to communicate with us. Psychologist Dr. Robert Johnson observed that symbols are the natural language of the soul. When we learn to read the symbols in our life, we discover that the universe is constantly offering us guidance and support. It's like learning to read a sacred map, where each event, each encounter, each challenge contains a specific message for our growth. To harness the power of synchronicities, we need to develop what the mystic George Gurdjieff called impartial self-observation, the ability to observe our life without judgment, keeping ourselves open to the subtle messages of the universe. This requires practice and dedication, but the results are transformative. Keep a synchronicity journal. Note the patterns you observe, the numbers that repeat, the meaningful encounters, the dreams that seem especially vivid. Over time, you'll begin to perceive a web of meanings revealing itself, as if you were deciphering a sacred code written especially for you. The dance of synchronicities invites us to a new way of being in the world, not as passive observers of random events, but as conscious participants in an ongoing dialogue with the universe. Each synchronicity is a reminder that we are not alone, that there is a greater intelligence guiding us towards our highest potential. The universe functions as a multidimensional mirror, faithfully reflecting the energy patterns we emanate through our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. This is an ancient truth that finds support in both spiritual wisdom and the most recent discoveries of quantum physics. As quantum physics pioneer Dr. Max Planck observed, matter itself does not exist. All that exists are forces that make atomic particles vibrate, keeping them together in a tiny solar system. This revolutionary understanding of reality as a constantly moving energy field invites us to examine more deeply how our internal states shape our external experience. Dr. Joe Dispenza, through his research on neuroplasticity and consciousness change, has demonstrated that our thoughts and emotions create specific neurological patterns that, in turn, influence the way we perceive and interact with reality. Imagine your consciousness as a movie projector and your thoughts as the film being projected on the screen of reality. When you change the film, your thoughts and emotions, the projection also changes. However, this is not a simple metaphor. It's an accurate description of how our consciousness interacts with the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Contemporary mystic John Mooji reminds us that, before trying to change the world, ask yourself, who is perceiving this world? This profound question takes us to the heart of the matter. Our external reality is a direct reflection of our internal reality. When we feel fragmented internally, the world seems chaotic and threatening. When we find inner peace, the same world reveals itself as harmonious and welcoming. The law of the mirror operates on multiple levels. At the most basic level, we observe how people tend to respond to our emotional state. When we're irritated, we encounter irritation. When we're serene, we encounter serenity. At a deeper level, our fundamental beliefs about life and ourselves create recurring patterns of experiences that seem to confirm these beliefs. Psychologist Dr. Carl Rogers observed that the curious paradox is that when I accept myself as I am, then I can change. This profound observation illustrates how the mirror principle can be used for our transformation. Instead of fighting against what we see reflected in our reality, we can use these reflections as accurate feedback about our internal state. Interpersonal relationships are especially powerful in demonstrating this principle. Each person in our life serves as a mirror, reflecting aspects of ourselves that we may not recognize directly. What irritates us most in others often points to unresolved aspects in ourselves. Similarly, the qualities we most admire in others are reflections of our own potential. The unified field of consciousness, as described by Dr. Martin Yogi, suggests that all reality is interconnected at a fundamental level. When we change our individual consciousness, we contribute to changing the collective consciousness. It's like throwing a stone into a lake. The waves expand, affecting the entire surface of the water. To work consciously with the law of the mirror, we need to develop what psychologist Dr. Robert Assagioli called the internal observer, a part of our consciousness that can observe our thoughts and emotions without completely identifying with them. This practice allows us to recognize the patterns we are projecting onto reality and make conscious choices about which patterns we want to cultivate. Gratitude emerges as a powerful tool in this process. When we practice gratitude consciously, we alter our vibrational frequency to a higher state, which naturally attracts more positive experiences. As John Hahn teaches, happiness is available. Just recognize the moments of joy that are already present in your life. Working with the law of the mirror requires patience and self-compassion. Sometimes what we see reflected can be challenging to accept. However, each reflection is an invitation to greater self-knowledge and growth. Just as a physical mirror doesn't judge the image it reflects, the universe simply shows us where we are in our journey of evolution. Fear is one of the most fundamental and powerful emotions we experience as human beings. However, what few understand is that fear, when properly understood and transformed, can become one of our greatest catalysts for spiritual growth and personal fulfillment. This is the alchemy of fear, the process of transforming our deepest shadows into radiant light. John Rumi, the Sufi mystic poet, wrote, "What you seek is seeking you." This profound truth applies especially to fear. When we run from fear, it chases us. When we turn to face it, we discover that it contains precisely the lessons and gifts our soul needs to evolve. The pioneering work of Dr. Carl Jung on the shadow shows us that what we fear most often contains the key to our liberation. Jung observed that the process of individuation, the path to psychic wholeness, requires us to consciously integrate what we fear most in ourselves. Neuroscientist and researcher Dr. Jill Taylor, in her revolutionary study on brain hemispheres, discovered that fear operates primarily through the left hemisphere of the brain, the same responsible for our perception of linear time and the separate ego. When we learn to access the right hemisphere more consistently, we experience a state of presence and connection where fear cannot survive. Fear, in its essence, is always about the future, a projection of negative possibilities that haven't happened yet. In the present moment, as John Toll teaches, there is no fear. There is only reality as it is and our natural response to it. This understanding offers us a powerful key to transformation. By anchoring ourselves deeply in the present moment, we begin to dissolve the roots of fear. Psychologist and consciousness researcher Dr. Stanley Groff observed in his studies that many of our deepest fears have roots in perinatal and transpersonal experiences. This suggests that fear is not just a personal response to life circumstances, but an expression of deeper archetypal patterns that we share as a species. Paradoxically, it is through the complete acceptance of fear that we begin to transcend it. As Sarah Chodron teaches, when we allow ourselves to fully feel fear without trying to change it or escape from it, we discover that it is, in its essence, pure energy that can be transformed into clarity and personal power. The practice of meditation offers a perfect laboratory for this alchemy. As we observe our fears with full attention, we begin to perceive that they are like clouds passing through the sky of our consciousness, temporary, changeable, and ultimately illusory. The sky of consciousness always remains vast, clear and unchanged, regardless of the clouds passing through it. Gabrielle Bernstein's work on fear and modern spirituality shows us that we can use our fears as signposts for areas of our life that need healing and attention. Each fear, when investigated with compassion, reveals an underlying limiting belief that can be transformed through love and understanding. The alchemy of fear is not a linear process, but a spiral of discovery and transformation. Each time we face a fear, we strengthen our connection with the inner wisdom that knows we are much more than our perceived limitations. As Zen master, John Hahn teaches, "Fear keeps your hands closed, love opens your wings." To facilitate this transformation, we can develop daily practices that help us metabolize fear constructively. Conscious breathing, body movement, creative expression, and compassionate internal dialogue are powerful tools in this process. Each practice helps us build a new relationship with fear, seeing it not as an enemy to be fought, but as a teacher guiding us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves. Conscious surrender represents one of the deepest paradoxes of the spiritual path. The more we allow ourselves to let go of control, the more true power we discover. This is not the power of the ego that seeks to dominate and manipulate, but the authentic power that emerges when we align ourselves with the greater intelligence of the universe. Michael Singer, in his book The Surrender Experiment, describes this process as a gradual release of the layers of resistance we've built throughout life. Each moment of surrender is an opportunity to dissolve these resistances and allow life to flow through us with more freedom and grace. The concept of surrender is often misunderstood in our control-oriented culture. Many confuse surrender with passivity or resignation. However, true surrender is a highly active state of consciousness where we are completely present and responsive to the moment, free from the distortions of fear and egoic control. Quantum physics offers us a powerful metaphor for understanding conscious surrender. At the quantum level, reality exists as a field of infinite possibilities until it is observed. Similarly, when we truly surrender to the present moment, we open a field of possibilities that our controlling mind could never imagine. Mary Williamson observes that surrender is essentially an act of trust in the fundamental goodness of the universe. When we trust that life is working in our favor, even in the most challenging circumstances, we access a deeper level of wisdom and guidance. Conscious surrender operates on multiple levels. At the physical level, it manifests as a deep relaxation of the body and an openness to the natural flow of life. At the emotional level, it expresses itself as a willingness to feel fully, without resistance. At the mental level, it appears as a quieting of the mind and an acceptance of not knowing. Dr. Peter Levine's work on trauma and healing shows us that the capacity for surrender is intimately linked to our sense of safety in the body. When we feel safe, we can naturally relax into a state of surrender. This understanding invites us to work first with building a deep sense of inner safety. The practice of conscious surrender invites us to a new form of navigation in life. Instead of trying to control every aspect of our experience, we learn to feel the flow of life and move in harmony with it. It's like learning to surf. We can't control the waves, but we can learn to dance with them. John Dass teaches that surrender is a moment-to-moment process of letting go. Each breath is an opportunity to release a little more, release expectations, release judgments, release the need for things to be different than they are. The wisdom of the body offers a natural path to surrender. Through practices such as yoga, tai chi, or spontaneous movement, we can directly experience what it's like to be in flow with life. In these practices, we learn that surrender is not something we do, but something we allow to happen through us. Amidst the constant noise of the modern world, there is a silent voice that always speaks the truth, the voice of intuition. This inner wisdom, which ancient mystics called direct knowledge, transcends logical thinking and connects us with a deeper understanding of reality. Dr. Caroline Myss, in her research on intuition and health, discovered that our body possesses a sophisticated information processing system that operates beyond the rational mind. This system, which she calls energetic anatomy, allows us to perceive and respond to more subtle levels of reality that our conscious mind cannot access directly. Intuition communicates through a multidimensional language that includes bodily sensations, sudden emotions, dreams, symbols, and what Carl Jung called meaningful synchronicities. Learning to recognize and trust these subtle signs is like learning a new language. It requires practice, patience, and a willingness to suspend our habitual judgments. Neuroscientist Dr. Anthony Damasio, in his research on decision-making, discovered that people who have lost the ability to access their emotions and intuitions have great difficulty making even the simplest decisions. This suggests that intuition is not just an optional extra, but a fundamental part of our ability to navigate life with wisdom. Physician and researcher Dr. Judith Orloff identified 4 main types of intuition: physical, bodily sensations; emotional, sudden feelings; mental, sudden insights; and spiritual, direct knowledge of truth. Each person tends to be more receptive to one or two of these channels, but with practice, we can develop our sensitivity to all of them. Silence emerges as a crucial element in developing intuition. As Dr. Michael Chopra observes, it is in the space between our thoughts that the deepest wisdom can emerge. The regular practice of silence, whether through meditation, contemplation in nature, or simply moments of conscious quietude, strengthens our connection with the inner voice. The pioneering work of the HeartMath Institute has scientifically demonstrated that the heart possesses its own nervous system and electromagnetic field, capable of processing information independently of the brain. When we learn to access heart intelligence, our intuition becomes clearer and more reliable. Resistance to intuition often comes from fear of the unknown and our need for absolute certainties. However, as Sarah Chudrin teaches, it is precisely in the willingness to remain with uncertainty that our inner wisdom can flourish. Intuition invites us to a more fluid and organic form of knowledge. To develop a deeper relationship with our intuition, we can create daily rituals that help us tune into this inner wisdom. Automatic writing, contemplative tarot, free dance, or simply moments of mindful attention to subtle body sensations can be gateways to this deeper knowledge. Conscious manifestation is a sacred art that combines ancient wisdom with the most recent insights from quantum physics and neuroscience. It is the process by which our deepest thoughts, emotions, and intentions materialize in our physical reality. Dr. Lynn McTaggart, in her research documented in The Field, demonstrated how our conscious intentions can influence events at the quantum level. This revolutionary work suggests that we are not passive observers of reality, but active co-creators in a fundamentally interconnected universe. The process of conscious manifestation operates through what Nathan Goddard called the art of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It's not just about visualizing what we want, but creating an energetic resonance with it at all levels of our being, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Dr. Joe Dispenza, through his research with meditation and neurological change, has demonstrated how we can literally recondition our brain and nervous system to align with new possibilities. When we combine elevated emotion with clear intention, we create a powerful electromagnetic field that attracts corresponding experiences. Gratitude emerges as a crucial force in the manifestation process. As Rachel Byrne teaches in The Secret, when we practice gratitude for something even before its physical manifestation, we create a field of resonance that accelerates its materialization. It's like planting a seed and thanking for the tree that already exists in potential. Working with conscious manifestation invites us to deeply examine our limiting beliefs and unconscious patterns that may be blocking our manifestations. As Dr. Bruce Lipton observes in The Biology of Belief, our subconscious beliefs have a direct impact on our biology and, by extension, on our ability to manifest. The practice of conscious manifestation requires a delicate balance between focused intention and surrender to the natural flow of life. Dr. Wayne Dyer reminds us that when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. This shift in perspective is fundamental to the manifestation process. We have reached the point of synthesis in our journey, where all the previously explored elements converge into a deeper and more integrated understanding. Trust in the universe is not just a philosophical concept or a spiritual practice. It is a way of being that fundamentally transforms our experience of reality. John Hahn teaches us that peace is in every step. This profound truth applies to all of our exploration. Each moment of trust, each act of surrender, each intuitive insight, and each conscious manifestation are steps in the sacred dance with the universe. True integration happens when we stop seeing these practices as something we do and begin to recognize them as natural expressions of who we are. As Richard Rudd observes in the Gene Keys, it is a transition from practice to presence, a state of being where trust flows naturally from our deep understanding of the interconnected nature of reality. Dr. Ken Wilber, in his work on integral development, shows us that the evolution of consciousness is not linear, but occurs in ever-widening spirals of understanding. Each new level of consciousness does not eliminate the previous ones, but integrates them into a more comprehensive synthesis. As we integrate all the dimensions explored in this journey, the dance of synchronicities, the mirror of reality, the alchemy of fear, conscious surrender, the language of intuition and conscious manifestation, we emerge with a deeper understanding of our true nature as infinite beings in finite form. Dr. Sri Aurobindo speaks of a divine life, where all aspects of our existence are transformed by the light of higher consciousness. This is the ultimate promise of our journey, not to escape material reality, but to transform it through our conscious presence and deep trust in the process of life. Trust in the universe ultimately reveals itself as trust in our own essential nature, that part of us that is one with the infinite intelligence that permeates all existence. As A Course in Miracles teaches, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Here is the peace of God. As we conclude this exploration, we are invited to continue our journey with an open heart and an expansive mind. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to deepen our trust, each moment a chance to practice conscious surrender, each experience an invitation to more fully manifest our true nature. The universe is not something separate from us. We are the universe becoming conscious of itself through our unique experience. In this deep understanding lies the key to a life of trust, power, and authentic fulfillment. And so, we do not come to an end, but to a new beginning. Each breath is an opportunity to renew our trust, each heartbeat a reminder of our connection to the whole, each present moment a portal to infinite possibilities. May this exploration continue to reverberate in your life, inspiring an ever deeper trust in the sacred mystery that is existence. The universe is always inviting us to a deeper dance. We need only trust and take the next step.